is your relationship with time? Are you wired and tired, stressed and overwhelmed, busy and going nowhere? Or just want to scale your business? Welcome to Take Back Time with your host, Penny Zenker. Penny focuses on books, strategies, tools, and tips to help you work smarter and approach your time more strategically. As a result, you can have more energy, focus, and get more done in less time. Be more efficient and effective. Get ready to take back time.
Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker, and I'm your host. And today, I am excited to have a fellow best-selling author with me, Marc Reklau. He is the author of the international #1 best-selling award-winning book, 30 Days to Change Your Habits, Change Your Life. And it's been translated into 9 languages and has over 300 5-star reviews on Amazon and over 170,000 readers. Wow, that's impressive. Plus, he has a number of other books around happiness and gratitude, the power of gratitude, which I love. So I definitely want to talk more about that with him. And he's an author, a speaker, and a corporate trainer. And he really is dedicated to helping people and organizations transform and achieve greater success. So like minds come together. Marc, it's great to have you here on the show. Welcome.
Great to be here, Penny.
So you've got a lot of great books and great topics that you talk about. You know, what this show is called Take Back Time. So we're going to cover a lot of those different topics. What I'd love to know is just how did you get here? Like, you know, you're talking about habits and happiness and productivity. Like, why?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll start from the beginning. So 6 years ago, I was fired from my job. I was jobless. I had done a coaching training. So I was like, at a point where I said, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I knew I had, because here in Europe, you get like jobless money like for 2 years. And I had savings also. So I said, okay, I have 2 years and I need to build something, or coaching practice or whatever. And then I started studying self-publishing, online marketing. And I had that. Then suddenly my idea came. I was like, write a book, right? A coach with a book is always better. I mean, easier.
Absolutely.
To distinguish from a coach without a book. So I wrote my book 30 days, got it up on Amazon. Nothing happened for the first half a year. And then I got on to an awesome promotion, a newsletter in the US, and got like 38,000 downloads in a couple of days on Amazon.
Wow.
And even if they were free, they catapulted me right up there in the charts with the gurus, with Tim Ferriss, David Allen. And suddenly I could live even from my book because the free downloads at that times, they translated into book sales later on. And as you know,
I want to stop you there for a minute because, there's a lot of entrepreneurs who listen to this show and they're probably like, give things away for free. Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense, right? So what would you say to people who have that in their mindset that, no, you can't give it away for free because you won't make any money if you give it away for free?
I even have an internal discussion about it, and I have, of course, discussion with fellow entrepreneurs, but I say, for me, it's easy. I build everything I have on giving away 100,000 free ebooks. So, and then I think the important stuff is when you give something away for free. I mean, we knew each other because we were giving away free books a couple of weeks ago. I think the important thing is that you decide when you give something for free and not let other people decide for you. So, for example, if somebody asks for me to give a free speech, I might say no. Right. You pay me. But on the other hand,
it's on a lot of different factors, right?
Exactly.
Who's in the audience and how is that going to benefit you and get your message out?
Exactly. But on the other hand, so for example, also a lot of my stuff I built, it came, for example, I wanted to give lectures in a business school. So I started there and giving them a free talk. And then it was good, so they wanted me back. So then I said, okay, symbolically, you have to pay a little bit. You don't have to pay $5,000, but something, And then the second was also good. And then I said, my dream was to give lectures here and do a whole semester about happiness, like Tal Ben-Shahar did at Harvard, right? And then I got it. And then I was paid. So again, the free that I gave in the beginning got me into there and getting a paid kick. So that's something I see all the time, but you always need to distinguish because sometimes people want to lure you in.
Right.
Well, you get a lot of exposure. The decision must always be yours.
And it's a strategy, right? You've created a strategy that says, here's the first step, which is the free, and then to this step, and then to that step. And that's the way we grow our businesses, right? Is creating a plan and a staged approach. So I just wanted to highlight that point about giving it for free and whether that's productive or not. And the answer is it depends, and it very well can be when it's part of a strategy.
And the only thing I can say, you must be the one who decides. So
awesome.
Don't let them lure you in with exposure or something. You need to know, and that's also, you need to know what you want of it, your strategy, and then you can also throw in the free talks or free training or whatever, but always with a goal to later get paid for it, right? And then so coming back to the other, so you know how it is. You write a book and they say the last chapters of the book you're writing is already the first chapters of your next book. So when I did the habits book, it was great, but then it came like, okay, what's next? Next book. So first I wrote a book about self-publishing, because I had all my notes. So I just needed to put my notes again into a manuscript. And I had my second book. And in the third book, I questioned my email list, my friends, and probably your friends, it's the same, or your colleagues. When you ask people, what is your problem? What would you like? What would you, if you have one wish, they would always say, I want to have more time. And that's when I wrote The Productivity Revolution, my second book about that. So I wrote that. I did some corporate training on productivity, but I noticed that there was always tension in the room. The productivity tools, they are awesome for us as entrepreneurs, but in companies, sometimes they don't like to hear it because some of the greatest techniques of productivity are saying no, or turn off your mobile phone, or don't take the phone, or turn off the email. And of course, in corporations, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to
do it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to do it. No. Tell me something new. Mark, tell me something new. Tell me something groundbreaking that I can do in a tiny little bit, right? That'll take up no time and that'll fix everything. Go.
Yeah, and they want multitaskers because they're ignoring the countless studies that are out there who say one after another that multitasking makes you dumber, more unproductive, and all this, right? So then I kept on studying, and then I came to the subject of happiness. And that was amazing because we know happier brains also make us more productive.
Absolutely. But before you go to happiness, I'm sorry, I keep breaking up your story to talk because we were talking before the show and you said, this inconvenient truth, right? So I do want to ask you, so in the time that you were talking about productivity and you were helping people to see how they could be more productive, and that whole thing that you said that people said they wanted more time, like what's up with that? Like, do you think that really if they had more time, they'd be more productive?
No, I think they will never have enough time. Because you have to start with the basics, right? Because let's be honest, most of the people in corporation, for example, generalizing now, but from what I have seen is that they have enough time. They are just wasting it. And they are just like being busy. They're just being busy all day and they are not doing result-orientated work. And I was like this when I worked in a corporation because it's like at the end you go there and you try to get your 8 or 9 hours over and you want to get paid. When I was becoming an entrepreneur, that's when I was learning that if I just waste time, no money is coming in.
Costs you money. It's true. The costs are greater directly to you, right? And that's motivating in itself to make some change.
Exactly.
Just that we also have this, going back to your habit, the way we think is to do what's easy, right? Versus sometimes what's best for us. What's most discipline is hard. And that's why people don't want to hear it, right? They don't want to hear about anything that requires discipline.
Yeah,
they want the magic app and the magic pill that's going to fix everything.
They are telling themselves stories. They have if you come with productivity tricks or something, you are putting them in danger because they're telling themselves a story. I can't do it because my work demands me to take every phone call because if not, I would lose a client or whatever. They have these stories they're making up so they can stay stuck. And it's very difficult to go through there. And for us, surely it was also difficult. But when your monthly income depends on it, then you're a little bit more, let's say, it's easier to learn something new or it's easier to do the inconvenient stuff because you just depend on it, right?
Well, a little bit. I see that in entrepreneurs too. We all get stuck in our excuses and our stories. So I just wanted to challenge the people who are listening is what stories are in your way of you being smarter in the way that you approach things and do things? Why are you just doing things the way they've always been done, right? Are you really looking for different ways. What are those stories? Identify them. I tell people all the time, identify what those stories are and get clear. Why do you overanalyze something if you're overanalyzing? What's the story you're telling yourself? And that will help. Or procrastination, right? What's behind the procrastination? When we get a better understanding of these stories, then we can prove them not to be true.
Absolutely.
So that's a great point about the stories. And I totally agree that more time doesn't bring more happiness. It doesn't bring more money. It doesn't create more meaning in our lives. Doesn't even create more balance because of Parkinson's law. We'll use whatever time we have, right? And fill it up.
You have to get it from the roots, right? Because when you take it from the roots and you learn these productivity tricks, tools, whatever you want to call them, then time brings more happiness and brings more fun and everything, because then you're using it wisely. It's this work smarter, not harder. And I had some cases really, like a very stressed businessman came to me, a sales manager, and he started because he said, I have two choices now. I can take you as a coach to improve my happiness, or probably in 2 weeks I'm going to have a heart attack or an accident because I can't no more. So we started working little steps, small steps. But after 3 months, when he started to take control of his time, suddenly on the weekends, he was spending more time with her family, like with his family, that everything got better. But he needed first to go to the roots and say, how can I work better? How can I work smarter? Where I'm doing work that's not necessary, where I'm not delegating, where I should be delegating. And when you start from them, when you do your groundwork, then amazing things happen with productivity. But if you don't do the groundwork, you can have all the time in the world and you will never have enough. People working 60 hours and not getting work done. So that's really saddens me, because we know how you can do it better. And I'm like the most normal person in the world. And I went through all this. I'm a procrastinator, or I was only a busy person, not a productive person and all this. And it's a process. I worked on this stuff and I don't want to go back. It's just amazing. So it's actually now I'm so good at productivity that I start having bad habits again because I have so much time left. So I have to always
funny.
Not lower my guard to fall in all the stupid stuff again, like watching TV at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Absolutely.
Or thank God Game of Thrones is over now, because that was a huge productivity killer for me.
Right.
So.
That's funny. So it's really being more purposeful and being clear on what we want to get as an end result. So now let's go into, you said, so then you shifted to happiness, because people didn't want to hear about productivity, but they wanted to hear about happiness. So
that's it. Exactly. So, and happiness makes us more productive. That what they found out, happy brains are like a 37% more productive. So when I took that to the companies, suddenly the tension was gone, because that was a subject where I can say, okay, happiness, everybody is responsible for their own happiness. So that's set with the employees. It was okay. But then to the employer, I could say, but if you add a little bit to it and create the environment, then it will be even better. So both parts take the responsibility, and instead of a blame game, you suddenly have both parts taking responsibility. And then it was just nicer. Yeah. And I just convinced them with all the studies, because we have now enough studies that are out there that we just have to show them and say, look at this.
Well, and everybody wants to be happy, right? I think one of the challenges is when, I feel this when I go in and I speak to organizations and we talk about productivity. Sometimes, they think when management says we're going to be more productive, that means more work for them, right? So when they think of productivity, they don't think of it as working smarter. They think of it as working harder, because that's they feel like it's being asked of them. So I think that's where the resistance is, and everybody wants to be happy. So if you said, do you want to be happier? They don't think about it it's, I want to be happier.
Exactly. I think you just nailed it. I never thought about it, but that's great, because the thing is also, because that's what I noticed also, the wrong mentality when I talk to managers and I told them about productivity. And I said, oh, wow, that's great. Then I can give them more work. And it's not about that. Or sometimes it's one person in the department doesn't want to be more productive, because then he gets all the work from the lazy person that's sitting next to him, right? And so, and with happiness, it's easier to transmit it. And there's always, you go deep, it's like also being happy also doesn't mean you need to be happy all the time. It also means that sometimes you can have a conflict and resolve it and all this, but just like cover everything. And people are more Yeah, they like more to talk about happiness than to talk about productivity.
Distractions are the enemy of productivity. Go to distractionquiz.com and find out your distraction profile. Are you a time zombie or a hamster? Take this free distraction quiz today to rate your ability to focus on what keeps you from being a wizard. Go to distractionquiz.com.
You know, it's an interesting thought. A while back, I read a book that was talking about, companies taking single focus and how single focus that everyone can get behind really drove results and productivity and profits. In this one company, Alcoa, years ago, they focused on safety. And it was something that everybody from the top to the bottom could get behind. And it made them look at things differently. The way that they organized their process was different. The way that they approached each other was different. And I could see the same with happiness, right? If a company gets behind happiness as like their number one goal, you're going to have better customer service. You're going to have more sales. People are going to be more engaged. Like it's just so much easier to focus on that and get the results that come from that.
Exactly what happens. And that's what, like Facebook, Google, they are not the best or the most valuable brands because they're doing this happiness. They believe the studies, and it's also not, they're not there. And once I talked to an employee and said, it's not that they are so great people. They just have read the studies and they know the bottom line gets better. So that's why they leave us, bring our children to work and all this. Yeah. It's not because they are suddenly become altruistic or whatever. It's because they know the bottom line, it's super for the bottom line. The benefit goes up. And that's what I think it's the greatest win-win for any company. Totally. And for the employees, because also the Gallup study says 70% of the people are unhappy at work.
Disengaged.
So come on. And that happy, part of what you said, happy people, they take like less days off than unhappy people. They are sick less, and all this is money. This is saving actually money and gaining more money. So I don't understand. And then here in Spain, we're even more further behind. So I really don't understand why not more companies are like counting on it and say, at least give it a shot. Let's try it, right?
Yeah. Well, because some companies are focused on productivity, right? Yeah. And so what's funny is that in my programs is I call it productivity and talk about the tug of war with time, but I talk about gratitude and happiness, and because it is a fundamental. And that's why I said I love that I saw that you've also written a book on gratitude, because I think that's the secret to life, the happiness. Absolutely.
That's why I wrote the book. It was really like a baby that wanted to come out. So because I finished the project for my Japanese publisher, and then it just came to mind because I'm doing the interviews on podcasts or online summits. And when I'm asked for what's the secret ingredient to your success, it's always I come to the same thing, happiness and gratitude. The more grateful I got in my life in the last 2-3 years, the better my life got. So I just said, okay, let's see everything I've ever written about gratitude, every interview I've given, and then I just put it all together and put it in a book, because I don't know, I'm communicating with my books. You won't see a lot of YouTube videos from me or Instagram videos. I write books. But then I made the life-changing power of gratitude, where I just put everything in there. And it's a small book. So like my inner voice would also say, oof, a small book like this, difficult that it will succeed, because of course, it's only 80 pages or whatever. But I said to myself, but first of all, it comes from the heart and from my soul. And it's just maybe the most important thing I ever shared. Yeah. So I just get a shot and it's doing fine. So, awesome. And I get great feedback for it. And it's just because what you said, for me, gratitude is the number one ingredient for happiness, for, even productivity, for optimism. You can't be sad and grateful at the same time.
Right.
Envious and grateful at the same time. So it's also an antidote to a lot of painful emotions. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree. So let's talk about some tips, right? There's people who are listening and they probably say, okay, I get all that you're saying and everything. They want to know how. Right? So what are some how points that we can share with the audience about how to use gratitude to be happier and more productive, and any other tips that you think are absolutely key?
The great thing is it's so easy, because it's literally only every day writing down 3 things you are grateful for. feel it. I always would say feel the gratitude. So when I write it down in the morning and the evening, and then I feel the gratitude. But it can be, for example, I'm grateful for the cup of coffee I had at the beach today. And then while I write it, I just feel it and I see myself at the beach sitting again. Or I'm grateful for my mother, for my partner, sometimes I'm grateful for Amazon. I own a lot of Amazon, or for my MacBook that lets me talk to you, communicate, for podcasts. Today I will surely write one sentence, grateful that you invited me to your podcast. Things like that. It doesn't have to be so big things. It can be the small things. And you just write down 3 things and you feel it. And what this will do, it will rewire your brain to see more of the things that you're grateful for. So for me, it's not 3 things anymore. For me, it's like 5 or 10 things every morning, because it just comes so easy. But for beginners, 3 things.
Right.
It might be a little bit more difficult in the beginning, but just keep on doing it, because that's the single best exercise I can recommend to everybody, because it's simple and it's very impactful and it's a good starting point. Sometimes people come to me who are in a really bad place, and they ask me for help. And I say, look, I can't advise you here because I have never been in such a terrible situation. But what I can tell you is to start with gratitude. Yeah. And then many people, when they start with gratitude, they come after 2 weeks and say, Marc, the situation didn't change it, but I feel just so much more happier and optimistic. Exactly. And then they keep, of course, working, because it's not only write down 3 things that you're grateful for and then lie down on the sofa the whole day, right? It's like you do it, you keep working.
It shifts what you focus on, right? And so it shifts you from focusing on the problem to focusing on what's good, right? Because our brain is designed to delete, distort, and generalize things. And if we're focused on a problem, we're going to get more of that.
Yeah, exactly. We see it everywhere, yeah.
Gratitude. It's gotten me through gratitude. I started 20 years ago.
Wow,
writing a gratitude journal in the morning as a result of going through a divorce, a difficult situation. And I have to say, it made me show up as the person I wanted to be. Yeah. And it is life-changing. And I recommend it, just like you do, as a basis, especially if you're going through difficult times. So
yes. I always say it's better when you start while you're doing well, because when you are going through a very tough situation, it's always even more difficult. Sometimes you don't want to be grateful. I mean, I have even some days where I don't want to be grateful, but then I say, okay, I write it down anyway, because I know I can't. Yeah, exactly. And then another thing would be, what would help me is just making also a list of everything that you're grateful for. So you have your 3 things you write down in your journal, but I also have like a list where I wrote down all the places I have visited, friends, even people that hurt me, because I can see what came out of it. I'm grateful that I had this relationship or this experience, because again, it made me grow a little bit. So imagine if you get up in the morning and instead of thinking like, oh God, oh, the day, oh, now I have to go to work, oh God, I don't want to make that call. If you just take as the first thing in the morning your list, and then maybe you see the list, it says LA, and you have like a great memory of LA, right? And then you go here and that, and start your day like this. I mean, that also is already an incredible difference of how your day can start.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So start your day with gratitude. Let's go for one more tip that you've got in your productivity book that you think is one of the biggest sort of productivity strategies that has most helped you and the people.
There are so many. Yeah. For example, what you said, I make it 5, but I make it quick. Okay. Concentrate on one thing, on the most important thing every day. I think if every day you do the most important thing for your business then automatically in 1 year you will be in a great place. The difficult thing is like find out what is the one thing.
Right.
Another thing which I was like, for me to work productively, I turn off everything. I turn off my mobile. It's on airplane mode. It even goes on another room so that I don't even see it.
Yes.
I turn off the internet browser, turn off email.
All of it.
I'm sure you have heard of this story. That's those things that I don't want to hear in companies. But there's a study of the University of London. They say if you want to work focused and you have your email open, and usually everybody, or like 90%, have their email always open, and that makes you lose 10 points of your
IQ,
exactly. 10 points. That's the same like not sleeping for 48 hours and going to work. So, I mean, that's great. If you compare it, you would never say, okay, now I won't sleep for 48 hours and then I will just work.
Yeah. They say the same thing about any distraction, right? That's a distraction of email, but any distraction that you allow has that same impact. And they said it was the same as smoking dope.
Exactly. They said smoking dope is only taking away 4 points.
Oh.
So imagine. And so that's also a big thing for me. I would really say just turn off the emails. No, I can't. Because no, you can. You can just, it can be 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours. You will not. Because people are afraid if they don't answer emails, they will lose whatever clients or whatever. And the easiest way is look at yourself. Do you always get an answer right away? Or look at this typical, I always look at this typical situation when somebody was pressuring me. Oh, I need an answer now. I need an answer now. And then I put out the offer and then you don't hear for 6 weeks. And then you're like, and you really needed it within the hour, right? You really needed it within the hour so that I can wait 6 weeks. So, yeah.
One of my mentors taught me that we train people how to treat us also. So,
exactly.
If we want to be always in response, right, then we're always like obsessively in response. So, it's an obsession and we need to let it go. Absolutely. So that's two. You said focus on the most important thing, turn it all off, go into airplane mode.
Yeah. Okay, exactly. Oh, now it's going to be difficult to get to 5, but then we would have the 80-20.
One more.
80-20 principle of Pareto, absolutely. I mean, for prioritizing, it's incredible. And it's really when I started to become more productive, it was really because I was looking like, what are the 20% that bring me 80% of my results, right? Or on this, what are the 20% of my clients that bring me 80% of my problems? And if it's not the same, if the 20%, and usually they are not the same, I think, the 20% who bring you your 80% of results and the 20% who bring you 80% of the problems. So get rid of those who bring you the problems. And I have a little story. Just a couple of years ago, I had like 3-4 business relationships, which really was draining me. But they brought me 20% of my money. But then I took the decision because I read a lot about it and it seems to work. So I said, okay, I'm going to risk here. And I really got rid of these business relationships. And I was like, okay, maybe I have to play a little bit lower this year because it's -20. We're starting it with -20. But at the end of the year, I didn't have -20. I had +10. I grew my profit. So that was another proof for me that I did everything right. Why? Because I didn't lose time in stupid discussions and running after my money when they didn't pay and listening to stupid excuses. I used that time and spend it on my good clients or on my writing. That's another thing. Writing for me in that time brought 80% of my income. So I said, okay, I'll stop everything else. I will just do 80% of my time. I will just invest in my writing or in books, which means writing, marketing, promoting my books.
Right.
And the other 20%, well, whatever, like write to companies, but this will be my main thing. And also it's like skyrocketing my benefits, my profit.
Absolutely. I talk about the 80-20 rule as well. And I think the important thing for people to take away from this and understand is it doesn't need to be a new principle or a new trick. You just need to consistently apply something. So that is like the simplest rule, and yet it helps you to step back and to evaluate where you are, where you want to be, and what's in the gap, and really understand and focus on what's most important. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all it is, right? That's
Absolutely.
all it is.
I think there's a finite numbers of techniques or productivity tricks, and it's just, and so to my clients, I said, look, this is all there is, or most of that was. So I don't know which one will work best for you. So you choose yours.
Absolutely.
What goes best for you, and then because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's impossible. It's impossible. But what we need to do is apply what's best for us and then build on that.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for giving us so many different tips and tricks across the 3 different areas that you've been sharing your expertise in. So tell us, how can people get a hold of you? Where can they find your books and also any other programs that you have?
I'm on Amazon. It's funny, there's only one Marc Reklau with a C in the world. So wherever you put my name, the only one who comes up is me. So that's Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. So, and I mean, I have a webpage. It's called goodhabitsacademy.com. Then I have marcreklau.com where you can download some free coaching worksheets. And of course, my books are exclusively on Amazon. I really have to say I love the company because I was jobless with nothing. And I was just now reflecting. I noticed I was rejected by every literary agent in Spain, literally every literary agent, and many other publishers, I mean, who ignored me. Nobody wanted the book. And thanks to Amazon, I could upload
reach the world.
And it has become such a joy for me because now, meanwhile, it's like in 15 languages, sold nearly 200,000. No, not sold because I gave a lot for free, but I'm in 200,000 readers.
Fantastic.
So yeah.
Congratulations. And thank you for your tips. And you guys listening, you got to get some of that. So go out and check out Marc's books and his programs and see how they can help you to be smarter, happier, right? And creating those habits that are going to make a difference to create more meaning, more impact, and more profits in your life.
Exactly. And be patient. It's a long race. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And if I can do it, you can do it.
Absolutely.
And it's really fun.
And have fun with it. Well, thank you, Marc. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Penny Zenker, and this is Take Back Time. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening. Today's topic is another opportunity for you to put the knowledge you learned into practice. Tune in again next week for more strategies that will help you have more energy and focus to get more done in less time, so you can continue to take back time.